Aristotle said that 95% of everything we do is based on habit. If that's true, you and I need to get really good at managing our habits. The brain creates habits to conserve energy. This goes all the way back to our caveman days when we were trying to avoid being eaten by saber-toothed tigers and we had to hunt for our own food. Conserving energy was important. So what the brain does is it takes things that we do routinely, and once we start that routine, it automatically kicks in the habit, and very little thinking or energy is required from that point forward. Let's take a look at a couple examples. When you put on a shirt or a blouse in the morning, which arm do you put in first? Is it random, or is it the same one every time? When you put on a pair of running shoes and you go to tie them, and don't give me Velcro, when you go to tie the running shoes, do you do it the same way every time, or is it random? Do me a favor, humor me on this, and don't do this if you're driving. Raise your hands up in the air and just clasp them together. Which thumb is on top? Is it the same every time, or is it random? How much energy or thought is required to do the opposite, right? It takes a little bit of thought or energy. That's the idea of habit. Now, habits can be good or they can be bad. They can move you closer to your goal or they can move you further away from your goal. So what I'd like to talk about in this video is 3 tips on how to eliminate a bad habit and how to install a good habit. So first, let's talk about how to eliminate a bad habit. Now, there are many ways to do all the above, but I'm going to offer you what I consider my best tip. Back in the day when I had put on some weight, I needed to get rid of a habit. My wife used to say I just did mindless eating. I would just go into the pantry and grab some M&Ms or some cookies or some chips, or at night I just pull out some ice cream. I would just do this without thinking about it. It was a habit, and it was a lifelong habit because most of my life I didn't have to worry about weight. Now that's not the case. So I needed to get rid of this habit. So I tried moderation, right? Everything in moderation, that would be great, except I suck at moderation. So that didn't work for me. So I had to get more serious. So what I did is I put a roadblock between me and executing that habit. I eliminated all the sweets in my house. I got rid of the cookies, the candy, the crackers, the chips, the ice cream, it all went. So now, to execute this habit of eating a sweet, I'd have to get in my car and drive to the grocery store. Now, even when I got to the point of entertaining that concept, by that point I realized this is really not a good idea and I didn't do it. So this helped me eliminate this habit. And now I'm actually pretty decent at moderation, right? But back then I wasn't. So I had to put roadblocks between me and the execution of that habit. Think of any bad habit you have. What roadblocks can you throw in the way so it makes it really difficult to execute on that habit? Now, what if I want to build a good habit? You're going to do the exact opposite. You are going to eliminate any roadblocks between you and executing that habit. So another example was I wanted to start doing push-ups. I didn't have any weights, but I wanted to do some muscle building exercise, so I decided I would start with push-ups. So I got some push-up bars. So I put the push-up bars in our exercise room where we have a treadmill and an elliptical that I don't use. But the push-ups bars were in there. So the way it worked is I'm in the office, a reminder goes off telling me to go do push-ups. So I go into the exercise room, do the push-ups, go back to the office, right? At the beginning, the motivation was high, so I was doing it. Very quickly, it started to diminish. If I was working on something I considered important, I would procrastinate. And eventually, to the point where I just wasn't doing it. So I needed to do something to make this easier. I had to eliminate the roadblock. And for me, the roadblock was knowing that I had to take the time to get up, go to the exercise room, do the exercise, and come back. So what did I do? I went and grabbed my push-up bars, and I brought them into the office. So now when the reminder went off, I just got out of my chair, moved 2 feet, started doing the push-ups. It eliminated the roadblock, made it easier for me to build that habit, and it became a habit. I eliminated the roadblock. The second habit I want to give you towards building a good habit is don't quit. This works in a lot of things, but it works in trying to build a good habit as well. Don't quit. Keep moving forward. Even if it looks like you are doing a lousy job, keep moving forward. At the same time that I wanted to get rid of the snacking because I needed to lose weight, I decided I needed to exercise as well. Now, I used to play sports all the time, but over the last few years, I haven't been in a position where I can do that. So I decided now I need to exercise. I don't like exercise, but I know I needed to do it. So I decided that I was going to do 30 minutes on our treadmill 3 times a week. And again, motivation was there. I started doing it. And very quickly, it slowed down. Once a week, twice a week, not at all. And I could have quit. I could have easily said, this is obviously not working. But instead, I kept moving forward. As bad a job as I was doing, I kept moving forward. And the strangest thing happened. Eventually, it became a habit. It took about 3 months, but it eventually became a habit. And I chuckled about this when I realized it. It actually became easier for me to exercise than not to. The guilt was actually worse if I tried not to exercise than actually do the exercise. Exercise became the easiest path to getting things done. So it actually worked. I had built the habit. And here's the really cool part. Not only become a habit, but as time went on, I went from 3 times a week, 30 minutes each day, to 6 days a week, 45 minutes a day. I just did that on my own. And then on weekends, instead of using the treadmill, I went for a run. I built up to doing a 3-mile run and then 2 miles of power walking after the run was done. So I was out for 5 miles. This built up from me simply not quitting and keep going. And to this day, this is my routine. So from somebody who really hated exercising to now I'm somebody who exercises 6 days a week, right? That's the power of habit. Once I developed it into a habit, I didn't quit, I eliminated the roadblock, and I kept moving forward, it now is really difficult for me not to do it. I know that when I get up in the morning on a Saturday and Sunday, one of the most important parts of my morning is doing exercise, right? It's part of the routine. And now it is so routine that it is easier for me to do it than not to do it. So if you want to eliminate a bad habit, put roadblocks in the way, make it as difficult as possible for you to execute on that habit. And if you want to build a good habit, do the exact opposite. Eliminate roadblocks. Make it as easy as possible for you to execute on that habit. And then don't quit. Even when it looks like you're doing a lousy job, keep moving forward. I promise you, eventually it will become a habit. If you enjoyed this video and found it valuable, I'd love for you to go to my website at www.rorypeters.com. And there you can download a free PDF that is my #1 tool on how I execute and achieve my biggest goals. I think you're going to find it a valuable asset. Thank you again for watching this video and continued success.